This is the first day of our trip to Yellowstone National Park. Yellowstone is an impressive national park. You could find stunning views everywhere you look in this massive national park. It spans an area of over 2 million acres, which is about 3 times the size of Rhode Island. Our first stop is Upper Geyser Basin. We arrived around noon. After we finally find a parking spot and hurry to the Old Faithful, we were just in time for an eruption. The Old Faithful truly never disappoint. It put out a spectacular show. Thousands of gallons of boiling water with steam gushed out from the vent and reached about 100 feet. Everyone was in awe. Compared with other hydrothermal features, geysers occur much rarer. Yet, Yellowstone has the highest concentration of geysers in the world. It has more active geysers than all the other places have combined. This is a miracle. In order for these magnificent hydrothermal features to form, first we need a heat source. Luckily for Yellowstone, the heat source is quite close to the surface. The magma from the ancient supervolcano flows sometimes only 3 miles below, which means the superheated underground water with temperatures exceeding 400 degrees Fahrenheit has a relatively short distance to travel to surface. The upward path is called the plumbing system. This natural plumbing system goes up instead of down. This is because the superheated water is lighter, more buoyant than the colder, heavier water sinking around it. Here is what makes geysers rare and distinguishes them from hot springs. The plumbing system of a geyser has one or more constrictions. These constrictions act like the lid of a pressure cooker. It prevents the superheated water from reaching the surface. As the superheated water is trapped under the constrictions, temperature continues to rise. Steam forms and expands, increase pressure in the constricted plumbing system. At a critical point, the pressure is so high that it actually lifts the water above the surface vent. After the lid is open, tremendous amounts of steam force water out of the vent, and an eruption begins. Now, the question is, how could a geyser's plumbing system hold this immense amount of pressure? The answer lies in the volcanic rock, rhyolite. It contains silica, which dissolves into the superheated water. Then silica in the water precipitates in the cracks and coats the wall of the plumbing system. These silica deposits are called sinter. It acts as nature's concrete, which greatly strengthens the plumbing system. The sinter may form a cone around the geyser's vent, and these geysers are called cone geysers. The Old Faithful is one, and the Beehive Geyser is another typical cone geyser. The cone acts as a nozzle that makes the water shoot out in a tall column during eruption. The other type of geysers without cones are called fountain geysers. The Grand Geyser is a classic fountain geyser. Its water shoots out in various directions from a pool and is in explosive bursts, sometimes reaching 200 feet high. It looks like the finale of Bellagio's music fountain, and maybe even grander. After Grand Geyser's eruption, vent and turbine geysers in this triple geyser group come to life. Sometimes they continue to erupt for an hour. What's even rarer is the predictability of geysers' eruption. Out of the 6 geysers the park staffs predict their eruption time, 5 are here, at the Upper Geyser Basin. Besides the most famous Old Faithful, there are Grand, Riverside, Daisy, and Castle geysers. Erupts regularly every day. After Grand Geyser, the next regular geyser on the trail we went to was Riverside Geyser. This time, the predicted eruption time was about 1 hour later. After some rest, games, some pictures of wildflowers, and lots of selfies, finally, the Riverside Geyser start to erupt. The cone of a Riverside Geyser is right at the bank of Firehole River. The jet of water is shot at an angle across the river, which makes the view quite unique. We didn't know there were other predictable geysers except Old Faithful. Watching two other eruptions were already a wonderful surprise for us, so time-wise, we didn't optimize. If you're on a tight schedule, please check current geyser activities provided by NPS, either on their website or app, so that you could optimize your time here. Now let's see some hot springs. Hot springs are the most common hydrothermal features in Yellowstone. Unlike geysers, the plumbing system of hot springs don't have any constrictions. An open plumbing system allows the hot water to rise back to the surface to release heat. This prevents it from getting hot enough to trigger an eruption. However, lack of eruption does not mean hot springs in Yellowstone are not as impressive, because they put on a dazzling color show. And those bright colors are not from different mineral deposits. They are from the color of different microorganisms. Those microorganisms are called thermophiles, which means heat lovers. Billions of microorganisms grouped together appear as masses of color. Different types of thermophiles live at different specific temperatures and cannot tolerate much cooler or warmer conditions. This creates distinct gradations of living, vibrant colors of the hot springs. Colorless and yellow thermophiles grow in the hottest water. Orange thermophiles grow in cooler waters. Green thermophiles grow in even cooler waters. Brown thermophiles grow in even cooler waters. Finally, the intense blue color of some hot springs result when sunlight passes into their deep, clear waters. Blue is scattered the most, and therefore the color we see. So the blue-colored water at the center of hot springs is near boiling and is the hottest. Because the hydrothermal features are really hot, they could really burn people. So there are many safety instructions to remind visitors to be cautious in thermal areas. Our little one loved to read those safety instructions to remind us, especially brother, to stay on trails. After we had lander at Old Faithful Lodge, the Old Faithful erupted again. So we sat on the porch and watched the magnificent show the second time. It is equally amazing. As soon as the show was over, we went to the next stop, Biscuit Geyser Basin. A short trail leads to several geysers and hot springs. The Jewel Geyser is a regular geyser with intervals between eruptions only about 10 minutes. Glistening center surrounding its vent, most of the geyserite is pea-sized on small mounds. The sapphire pool has a mesmerizing blue color, but at a much larger scale than the hard pool we saw earlier. It is magically beautiful. Lastly, we went to Midway Geyser Basin. Excelsior Geyser Crater is a former active geyser. Now the 200 by 300 feet pool constantly discharges thousands of gallons of water per minute into the Firehole River. Next is the chromatic wonder of Grand Prismatic Spring, Yellowstone's largest hot springs. This feature is 370 feet in diameter and more than 120 feet in depth. It has out-of-this-world beauty. Ironically, due to its massive size, when you are standing next to it, you cannot fully appreciate its beauty, because you can't even see the other side very clearly. And you could forget a good picture that captures the whole Grand Prismatic Spring. Actually, a much better vantage point is on the small hill behind. The trailhead is quite close, and we drove right past it on our way here. Today it's late, so we decided that's where we would go first tomorrow. Before we exit Yellowstone, we saw a couple of bison lying on the ground ruminating, and a small herd of elks in the meadows of Medicine River. So this concludes the first day of our trip in Yellowstone. I hope you enjoyed this video, and see you next time.